Welcome at the special edition of Botcasters. Today with Hans van Dam from CDI. Welcome, Hans.
Hey, good to be here, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, and we have a special reason to be here, don't we?
Oh, yes, we do.
We are two frustrated men because we know there are good bots and there are bad bots. As you're aware, and we've looked at it together. In my podcast, I've tested a lot of chatbots, also off screen. And there are some good bots, but there are a lot of mediocre and not so good, or actually bad bots. Now, we've discussed this a lot, and we felt we needed to do something about this because we want to help the community to figure out what defines a good bot, and by doing so, get less bots. So help me out. What defines a good bot?
Yeah. All of a sudden, a sentence comes to mind. All good bots are good in the same way. All bad bots are bad in their own unique way, or loosely translated, I guess, right? But for the literature nerds out there. But what makes a good chatbot? That's an interesting question, right? And I think if you look at organizations where they go wrong, if you simplify it, they have automation goals and they have customer experience goals, and if we look at a chatbot, it's kind of like scope plus customer experience equals value. And you can use technology to hit your automation goals and build use cases and build chatbots. But if you don't have a good user experience, good conversation design, then simply nobody's ever going to talk to it. And I think an issue that you have with a lot of companies is that technology scales way faster than your design skill set. So you might start out creating a nice little chatbot and you think like, hey, that's good. I see the potential. And then you just deploy more and more and more without, really advocating for customers. And then you kind of go off track, which is what we see a lot.
And can I add one more thing to that? I think we agree on this too, that a lot of companies, before they think about design and the customer experience, they make a technological choice or a technology choice. They buy a chatbot framework and they just start without thinking about what they actually need to give the customer a great experience in terms of technology.
Yeah, and it's also, tech vendors, they say like, this is easy to deploy. You'll have a chatbot, it won't take a week to build it and it's ready to go and it can do all these things. And technically it can, right? The technical side of it has been solved to a great extent, but now it's like, how do we actually get value from this technology, right? So they're hammers, but they're only valuable when you have a good carpenter. And I think that's one of the things that we see a lot, where everybody starts off doing pretty well and having a good strategy, but then they just start deploying without really thinking about the user experience enough.
Yeah, and this is a universal truth. It doesn't matter which country you look at; we see it everywhere. I get to talk to people from all over the world, and we have the same discussion with basically every country. Now, it's easy to say what's wrong, but if we want to do something about it, then we need to suit up and literally or gear up and make a change. So a while ago, I came to you and I said, Hans, I want to do something about this. And you have this convention coming up in April. And while talking with each other, we said, shouldn't we reward/award the chatbots or the maybe even voice bots that actually are well made, well designed, and give a great experience to the customer? Because I think the customer is always right in this, by using it or not using it. And we decided to do that.
Yeah, it's
we got to about this.
We got to celebrate success, and we got to get together and sort of identify those bots that, have great creators that pay attention to them and think about the end users and the customers and that are dedicated to delivering value for both those customers and the business. So how do we identify those? How do we select those? How do we celebrate those? And let's create a party for those bots and the teams that create them and look after them. I think that's a great idea. So that's what we're going to be doing in Barcelona.
And I'm happy and proud that we're doing this together. So and that we can bring this to the community. And it's important to say this is not sponsored by any tech vendor or anything. This is our initiative for the community, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I
We're
think
going to have a
I'll add to that too. Actually, so the conference Beyond Boundaries in Barcelona in April 25th, 26th, that is organized by CDI Foundation, and CDI Foundation is our nonprofit. What we do is we work with the industry, with universities and enterprises and tech companies to figure out, what are the best ways of building chatbots? Like, what are the design patterns that you need to deliver on these technologies? And so one element of the foundation is to figure out what to do. Second part of the foundation is that all the funds that come in are used to give out scholarships to create diversity in the AI ecosystem. So we have scholarship programs where we sort of bring out that we award to people with a distance to the labor market or that might not be thinking about AI currently, where we encourage them to join this field so that we make AI fair, more inclusive, and more human-centered.
and that's what we should be doing. That's why I'm happy to be working to be doing this with the foundation. As part of the Conversation Design Institute, of course. But and to be honest, to our viewers and listeners, we're sort of going to figure this out together in this recording because we've prepared a bit, but we haven't decided on everything. So we thought we make it transparent. No, we make it transparent how we get from A to B, so people understand why we're doing this and how we're doing this, and because. We thought the whole thing should be transparent. We're going to have a professional jury that is able to judge, and we're going to decide how we're going to judge. We're also going to do that in this podcast. So let's start. If we're going to have categories, how we're going to do that?
Yeah. So one way to think about that, and I think that's what I would be a proponent of, is that, some things that are great for one chatbot might not actually work for a different chatbot. It has a different purpose. It has a different goal. It has different KPIs. So there's not one size fits all, right? So
the way example of that?
So if let's say I have a very advanced omni-channel contextual conversational experience, that is going to lead a lot of behavior design principles where I guide people from one channel to the other or take away anxieties and encourage them. That's a very advanced design toolkit that you're going to need there. But if you have an FAQ chatbot on your service page, where really people go, it's the early phases of this project, so it's not that mature. Really what I want to do is answer questions properly in a way that people feel like they got what they need and offer them support or hand them off to an agent. If that is my goal in this stage, then that is all I need to do. So for us, the way we think about chatbots is that like a little baby, they grow up. Like initially they can't do much, and now they become toddlers and they become teenagers and they become adults, like speak multiple languages, are integrated, remember people, can help with a whole bunch of stuff. So, a chatbot grows in a similar way. But what's important to understand is that you can't go from a baby to adulthood overnight, right? So you need to go through these phases, and that means you got to figure out which use cases are right for which level of maturity, which kind of design patterns you need to have. That's why we always say the more conversations you have, the better they should be. So as scope and adoption increases, traffic increases, your design gets more advanced. So
should we split it up in maturity levels? Would that be because we also need a way to judge them. So
I like that.
So is maturity something we can define and box and help people say, okay, your bot would fit into that category?
Yeah. So in our framework, so maybe we should just use that. So let's say I have an FAQ bot, or it's about information need. There's very functional design patterns that need to be there. Acknowledgement, confirmation prompts, active language, human-centered language. There's design patterns that you need for that level. So that is, I would say, FAQ bots designed for function. Are you doing that well? Do you understand the questions? Do you give an answer that makes sense? On top of that, function is more transactional journeys. Right, so providing information or actually helping them get things done. Now, what's interesting, transactional journeys are often longer multi-turn, right? Because I'm going to have to ask you questions and get information, and it's more
Accessing
complex.
backend systems, maybe.
Yeah, so there's more engineering work, but there's also more design work because all of a sudden I need to design for trust. So persona becomes more important, consistency and tone of voice becomes more important. So as I'm doing this transaction, am I creating an experience that makes people feel comfortable giving us their details and information, et cetera, et cetera. So it unlocks an entire new level of design patterns that are necessary. And then what sits on top of that um, would be a contextual omni-channel bot, right? And the way to think about that, you start designing for behavior. So, like we said earlier, if you're maybe I am on WhatsApp and I recognize now people going through the app or they go to the website. I understand that context, I understand what they're talking about, and I'm guiding them through these journeys in a very deliberate way. So that would be the level of where we're looking for behavior design.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Mm-hmm.
Um, First of all, it sounds like we have three categories. And it sounds like we have a level FAQ bots, a transactional bots, and the last one is contextual
Yeah,
bots.
I'd say so.
How many of those contextual bots have you actually seen or
Uh,
experienced?
so what's interesting, I think, is that there's very few, full scope contextual bots. But so I think the way to think about that is, these things stack up, right? So if I have my FAQ bot, I have quite a bit of scope in there because all the questions people tend to ask, like I should have coverage for that. And then within that, I'm going to maybe create a few very mission critical journeys and make those transactional. So there's fewer of those. But if I do that well, so let's say, it's my key journey in my organization. So I want to make sure that I automate that transaction. If I do that well, then maybe around that specific journey, I create a contextual experience. Right. So maybe I'm a retailer and somebody buys a product and they check in the next day, then I should know that they're probably going to ask a question about that specific product that they bought the day before, right? So you'll see it's almost like a pyramid where these omni-channel journeys are just smaller in scope, but if you nail them, they can be very powerful.
Just another thing popped to my mind. The levels of maturity we're discussing, they also apply to the team behind it because, in my experience, the team grows in time with every chatbot they create or every extension on the chatbot. They become better as well. So, so we probably be able to judge or say something about the team based on what we see. Is that a
Yeah.
correct assumption?
Yeah, no, definitely. So when we work with enterprise, like when we do audits on chatbots and we do a lot of data reviews, we look at the scope. We look at like, what are you trying to do? Are you actually delivering against these design patterns? And then we look at mindset, skill set, culture, and systems. Because as this chatbot gets more advanced, the entire operation gets more advanced. So what you'll see is individuals like their skill set advances, but also how they perceive their work. So initially it's about, discovering what it's like to work with AI and figuring it out. What does it mean for my job? Do I like conversation design? Am I good at it? And then, eventually you fully integrate it into your mindset and who you are, and you look at everything through a conversational AI lens almost as an individual. But also from an organization's point of view, it starts as innovation. Just try and put this thing together to eventually having a conversational culture that is maybe not even understanding how AI works, but maybe being an advocate of how AI could work and sort of growing there as well. And then systems, it's the technology. How do you grow from a simple FAQ chatbot to an omni-channel technology stack? Everything gets more mature and more advanced as your chatbot grows from, a toddler into adulthood.
If we ask the question and ask them, I think we'll create some sort of form with a questionnaire. But there's one question I would like to have in there. I just realized that. I would like to have a statement of the board or the CEO of the company or something of the sort that the way they view the importance of that channel or if AI or combination, whatever they perceive it, and how they view that strategically. Because
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about the support they might have in the board for whatever you're doing. And I know by experience, if you don't have that, it's almost impossible to be successful. If you do
Yeah.
have the support and the understanding, then basically it's limitless.
Yeah.
And I'm not
And
talking about money. I'm talking about space to experiment.
they're very connected though, because I think there's a few things here. Like sometimes, so when we do full audits of operations, we look like, is there a vision statement? Also, are all teams aware of the vision statement? Is the vision statement regularly revised? But a big component of that, is there a process to actually look like, hey, does this still make sense, right? But then also, do we have the budgets, or is it just some fairy tale story of like, wouldn't it be great if we can create the bank branch like we used to have it in town, but we do it online where they recognize your name? Is it just a fluffy statement, or do we really understand what kind of investment is required, what kind of people need to be skilled up, and what kind of money we're looking at, and is there a very clear business case for this? Because you can have a vision, you can have the budget, but if you don't have a clear business case, you're going to get stuck at one point too. So, but you don't need all these things you don't need all these things in great detail from day one, but at certain levels, when you hit a new level of maturity, these things become more detailed and more advanced.
Well, especially if whatever you're doing becomes a part of your company ecosystem. And I think that's when you're at that level, then you're an integral part of the business and of course the culture, but also the communication strategy, service strategy, and all that. Basically, you're part of operations. And I think that's that's where you want to be at, also strategically.
Yeah, so we should definitely include that too. Like so we'll have a form, ask like, what's the vision behind the project? What are some of the numbers that you're hitting? Are you at the level FAQ bot? Do you want to be judged as an FAQ bot, as a transactional experience, or as an contextual experience?
And why?
And why? So we'll have people fill in that form. Then we'll create a long list, and with
long list
experts.
of contestants.
Yeah, long list of contestants. Then our judges will go over that. So there's a lot of people in our ecosystem that have been doing this, for a long time. That have 20 years of experience in customer experience, decade in conversation design. We have a lot of experts around this that are part of the foundation. That can be judges, and we'll sort of go from the long list to the short list, and then maybe in Barcelona we can have people pitch and see who should get celebrated. I mean, everybody should get celebrated if you're part of this and even considering signing on, but to really pick a winner.
And can we make a promise to the people or the companies that do not make it to the shortlist? Because I think it's courageous if you already fill out the form and put yourself out there, because you have the risk of losing. If you're nominated, you're already in the spotlight. But the companies that don't get nominated, I want to give them an honest jury report where they get sort of hands-on ideas how to improve. And not that we bash them, because I don't think that's the culture we want. No, that happens. I don't want that, because I want them to feel comfortable to hand in their form and feel okay that if they don't win or don't get nominated, they still get value out of it because they learn. And they don't get thrashed by us or whatever to say, "Oh, you didn't make it to the shortlist." We're not going to announce their names. We're only going to announce the names of the companies and teams that are on the shortlist. That would be my question to you.
The goal is making everybody better, right? And actually, we offer this as a service. So anyone that wants to, we do free reviews where we take the checklist and sort of get suggestions on how to do things better. So let's just do that for everybody that is brave enough to sign on for this. No, I think it's just about giving direction to the industry. A lot of these teams, they want to do better. They're doing great. They want to do better, but sometimes they simply don't know where their next step, in what direction their next step should be. What the thing is that is going to have the most impact to get to that next level of maturity. So I think some guidance on that is already incredibly valuable for most.
Okay. Now we got one last thing to settle, and we didn't discuss this or think about this, but we need to settle this today. No, it's not a major thing. At the same time, it's important. It needs a name.
Needs a name.
The baby needs a name. Originally, and I don't know if we should do that, but I came up with the European Chatbot Awards. I don't know. Are we doing just chat or just text? Are we doing voice? If we say chatbot, we miss voice.
Mm-hmm.
So should it be the European Bot Awards? Should it be
Conversational AI Awards.
Exactly.
Then you covered them both, right? So European Conversational AI Awards, but why limit ourselves to Europe? Why not the CDI Conversational AI? Why don't you just call it CDI Awards, powered by Podcaster
and CDI?
Yeah,
it's both. Well, I have no problem with that. Okay, so we call it the CDI Awards, powered by CDI and Podcasters. Okay.
Brilliant. I see stuff happening on my screen. I don't know. You can still see me, right?
I'm not doing anything. It's not me. I didn't hack into your computer. But so in conclusion, we are going to have, and guys, this is unique because we just made an award ceremony and a system live. We recorded it. We didn't prepare this. So we're going to have 3 awards, right? For 3 categories. So there's going to be 3 awards. We're going to work from a long list to a short list. Yeah. Only the people on the short list are going to be nominated and their names are going to be called. We're going to announce with a little bit more context what these categories entail. At the convention in April, what are the dates?
25th and 26th, Barcelona, La Salle campus.
Okay. 2024, just to be clear, this year. And it's going to be called the CDI Awards, powered by CDI and Podcasters.
Brilliant. I think we nailed it here. And I think I would also encourage, so it's focused on conversational AI. So whether you're doing a chat or you're doing a voice experience in a call center or in a car, it doesn't really matter. Should we get, a lot of submissions on either end, then I can definitely see us split that as well. While we, for each level, we have, both a chat and a voice recognition there as well.
And we could possibly make a split in that and split that up in separate categories.
Yeah,
but that's brilliant. We'll see what comes in.
Yeah, let's do it. And then I think what's also cool, if we, because we always talk about like we should do more podcasts together. If we get the people that submit their projects and stuff, that we invite them on and we talk about the projects, and we can do that leading up to the shows or afterwards, and sort of.
So we do that with all nominees.
Yeah, and we stay in touch with them to sort of see how they're progressing that journey from, maturity of going from FAQ to transactional to contextual to eventually that delightful experience that everybody is kind of dreaming of, right?
It sounds like a plan, but I have one condition. That you're my co-host. Otherwise, I won't do it. I want you next to me because I think we were together. We're able to grill any guest completely.
Why isn't that working?
In a positive way. No. We're sort of complimentary in the way we ask questions. No,
I like that. No, let's do it.
Okay, cool. I'm not going to summarize again. So to wrap this up, thank you, Hans, from the Conversation Design Institute. And you know what we forgot in the beginning. So we'll end with that. Hans, you don't have to introduce yourself, but just for the people who just listened, who are you?
That's a great one. Yeah. So my name is Hans van Dam. I'm one of the founders of Conversation Design Institute, the world's leading training and certification company for people working in conversational AI. When you're an enterprise, you're building a chatbot capability, then you check in with us and we show up and we teach your people how to do this, and we have consultants that work with you and we do auditing.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
How many people do you train a year? How many trainees or students do you have on average?
Well, I can't say exact numbers, but we're definitely about circling around the 10,000 globally. And but sometimes it's just one person at an enterprise. Sometimes it's a team of 50 people. So it's different categories, and then we kind of depend on how far along they are in their maturity of what kind of training we need to focus on. So
No,
sometimes
but we're talking about serious numbers, Hans. That was the point I was trying to make.
Oh.
There's quite a few people educated by you guys, so you have a serious impact on what's happening in our community. And I think that's important.
Well, thank you so much.
So Hans, thank you again, and we're looking forward. I'm looking forward, but I think you're looking forward too, to the people who send in their projects, and we'll be delighted to judge them and give reports, and hopefully see anybody or somebody on stage receiving an award.
Definitely. Thank you for putting this together. I'm excited about this. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we look forward to seeing you and hosting you in Barcelona. It's really going to be an amazing event. I really like the venue. There's going to be great food. We're going to have Wim Hof's right-hand guy doing deep breathing sessions to focus on mindset that influences the AIs that you create. There's going to be night owl sessions. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I encourage everybody to be there.
So no time to sleep there. Just work and fun, right?
Definitely. All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.